Hello, I'm Tripti Sinha, Chair of the ICANN Board, and I'm delighted to welcome everyone to UA Day, celebration of universal acceptance, as well as the many languages that are spoken and used around the world today. I was born in India, a country rich with linguistic diversity, and spent much of my life moving back and forth between India and the US. As a native Hindi speaker, I understand firsthand how important universal acceptance is to enable the Internet to work the same for everyone, regardless of the language they speak or the script they use. Today, there are more than 5.3 billion Internet users and billions more expected to come online. Most of these new users will be from countries where people speak and write in languages other than English. By achieving universal acceptance in every Internet-enabled device, software application, and system, we can help ensure a more inclusive Internet for both new and existing users. When people can use the language and script of their choice online, they are able to experience the full social and economic power of the Internet. Universal acceptance means that no one is excluded, no one is left behind. Whether you are joining a UA Day event virtually or in person, your contributions are important. By participating in UA Day, being part of the UA community, and making your own systems UA ready, you are helping build a truly global, multilingual Internet. This work is a collective effort of many, and I'm encouraged and inspired by everyone's commitment. I'm especially pleased that many of this year's events are focused on UA adoption, as it shows how far we've come in building support for UA. Thank you to the organizers of this year's UA Day events, to everyone taking part around the world, and to all those who have made this milestone event possible. Together, we are moving closer to making universal acceptance a reality and building one Internet for all. Thank you.
El sistema de nombres de dominio ha crecido y evolucionado a lo largo de los años. Los usuarios de Internet tienen ahora la posibilidad de registrar nombres de dominio y direcciones de correo electrónico que tengan más de 3 caracteres, en diversos alfabetos y en varios idiomas. Por eso necesitamos la aceptación universal. Una excelente práctica técnica para marcar el comienzo de la próxima era de la conectividad a Internet, que evolucione con las necesidades de los usuarios de todo el mundo y que dé soporte a los que hablan tu idioma. Porque cuando todos podemos disfrutar de las ventajas de una Internet multilingüe y digitalmente inclusiva, todo funciona. Descubre cómo puedes participar y ayuda a desarrollar una Internet pensada para todos.
Universal acceptance, or UA, is a best practice ensuring that all valid domain names and email addresses, regardless of script, language, or length, are accepted by all applications. Unfortunately, not every system is currently set up to handle this diversity yet. This example shows the difference between a website that is UA ready and one that is not. In both cases, the objective is for the user to register themselves using a form, but when attempting to use an internationalized email address, results are quite different. IDNs are part of global technical standards and should be supported in the same way as any other email address. Such limitations emerge from the various components of software, like programming languages, libraries, databases, and utilities. The medium through which user interaction occurs also matters, such as browsers and email clients. This means there is a need to test, configure, and potentially adapt these different components in order to become compliant with universal acceptance principles. These different components are abstracted into 5 verbs, which are accept, validate, process, store, and display. These elements normally work in succession, making them into a chain of sorts. If one step fails, the next one will likely fail as well. This is why creating universal acceptance requires the revision of different parts of a system, seeing as it might be the case that a single component is at fault, and the fix might be simpler than it is imagined. Of course, this is different in each case. Let us study each verb individually now. Many applications have input fields that the user is asked to complete. Generally, more attention is paid to accepting all characters in a person's name, although at times, users are still asked to write a transliteration of their name or omit diacritics. For email addresses, developers need to ensure that the input field accepts all valid characters, including those in Unicode. Successful acceptance of all characters normally involves enabling UTF-8 inputs in the programming language or framework being used, and ensuring that the environment is configured to expect that input. Java Swing and other current GUI solutions inherently support UTF-8 inputs, potentially making this step simpler. If accepting input is important, then validation is essential, as it flags a given email address as valid and usable. Our studies show that many coders and libraries still use regular expressions to perform validation, which makes UA difficult to achieve, given that an ASCII-based logic is usually employed in such cases, which only includes Latin letters A to Z and numbers 0 to 9. There are, however, a series of compliant libraries that make this implementation much easier, such as ICU for comprehensive Unicode support in Java and C, C++, and IDNA for handling internationalized domain names in Python and Rust. These libraries also assist in supporting longer top-level domains that exceed the maximum of 4 characters that used to be expected in the past. Proper input processing maintains the integrity of user data, ensuring its consistency. One of the key aspects of this step is data normalization, which involves transforming Unicode data into its canonical form. Here, we see an example of both the precomposed and decomposed forms of a character. In precomposed form, all constituent parts are understood as a single character, while in decomposed form, the character is understood as a sequence of its constituent parts. Successful processing also involves testing the decoding of data after it has been stored, making sure that the characters are being correctly interpreted and are output as they were intended. A tool that assists these various tasks is the previously mentioned ICU, which includes various functions for Unicode normalization and other text processing tasks. For Python, Unicode data performs a similar job. For our purposes, databases need to be set up to support UTF-8 encoding, which can be achieved both in SQL and NoSQL. Proper configuration ensures accurate storage of characters, preserving information integrity. In MySQL, character set and collation need to be configured manually, while NoSQL solutions like MongoDB often already natively support UTF-8. Usage of normalization form C is preferred, meaning storing characters in their precomposed forms whenever possible. It is also important to maintain consistency within the database, choosing to either store addresses as A labels or U labels, but not mixing both. In essence, an A label is the ASCII representation of an address in Unicode, prefixed by XN-. Additionally, configuring indexes and full-text search features to account for UTF-8 can significantly improve performance and accuracy when querying this data. Displaying internationalized data correctly involves considering a few aspects. First, fonts used by the application should support a wide range of characters, and employing font fallback mechanisms can be a useful safeguard. Another key consideration is the display of characters in right to left, RTL orientation, which is required for Semitic languages, with the application dynamically adjusting text direction based on necessity. This calls for the implementation or revision of responsive design techniques, adapting the UI to handle different scripts and languages, ensuring that the desired spacing and layout is maintained in all scenarios. Developers do not need to start from scratch to achieve universal acceptance, as the ICANN GitHub repository hosts a set of minimal viable products and best practices to help on this matter, which can be found within the UA code samples folder of the repository. These resources are free and available in multiple programming languages, namely Java, JavaScript, Kotlin, PHP, Python, and Swift. The code samples can serve both as bases and as examples, and their usage is open to any interested projects. UA implementation can also be divided into phases in order to make it more manageable. This is what ICANN itself did, as detailed in the case study published by the Universal Acceptance Steering Group on uasg.tech. The first step is to ensure that newer ASCII-based TLDs work, such as those using more than 4 characters. Next, integration should focus on supporting internationalized domain names, which is well documented and widely supported. The final step is to ensure that email address internationalization is fully integrated, which requires heavier lifting, but also builds upon the previous phases. This makes it so that achieving UA readiness can be a project that generates smaller deliverables and in which progress is measurable. Enhance your competitive edge and contribute to a multilingual, interoperable internet. Join leading companies in this movement and open your services to the next billion users. The time to act is now.
El idioma guaraní, en efecto, es parte de nuestra idiosincrasia. Todas las personas, casi el 80% de la población, utiliza en algún momento de su comunicación cotidiana el idioma guaraní. Es un idioma oficial, es una lengua viva, tiene un alfabeto oficialmente habilitado, se enseña en el sistema académico y de hecho tiene una gramática propia. A la fecha es un poco más sencillo que hace 20 años atrás. En aquel entonces recordamos que en nuestros computadores personales disponíamos de un teclado que como mucho tiene teclas del alfabeto español y bien, si queríamos escribir algo en guaraní, básicamente teníamos que recurrir tal vez a una combinación de teclas y con eso lográbamos escribir lo que necesitábamos. Pero hoy día tenemos más herramientas. Los dispositivos móviles nos permiten encontrar fácilmente los caracteres internacionalizados. También encontramos una serie de herramientas que nos facilitan y bueno, y con ello es un poco más sencillo. Vemos que hoy día cada vez hay una brecha menor. Sin embargo, hay todavía esfuerzos por saltar y bueno, el esfuerzo que pueden hacer las organizaciones globales de aceptación universal nos ayuda muchísimo para una adopción plena de nuestros idiomas.
Guaranínico imaipéguive ha ãngãitépeve ojeporu oñeñemongeta ha ojejokupytyhag̃ua ñaneretãme. Guaranínico ñane ñe'ẽ, Guarani ñanemo'ãmbue, Guarani ñande'apo upe ñandehaichaite, he'iséva ñanemboparaguaireko. Ñambojajáikena akóinte ñanderekotee, ñambojajáikena akóinte ñane Guarani.